Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about, in a non-spoilery fashion, episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Amazon Prime's Gen V. So, as you all know, that's why you're here. Gen V is a spin-off of the very, very insanely popular Amazon Prime show, The Boys. I cover The Boys on this channel. I think I have full coverage for both seasons on the show. So, on the channel. So the Gen V is brought to us by pretty much the same team that's behind The Boys. One of the creators, Eric Kripke, same creator as The Boys. He also brings along with him Craig Rosenberg, who has worked on The Boys as well, I think in like a writing capacity. He's bringing him along as a co-creator. And then third co-creator is Evan Goldberg, and you may not be familiar with that name just hearing it, but Evan Goldberg is behind a lot of those really good like mid to late aughts like Seth Rogen and Friends comedies, you know, like Superbad, Knocked Up, Pineapple Express, those movies. That's this kind of stuff that he's bringing to the table. So we could probably expect some, maybe even a higher caliber of laughs on this show. So in short, the premise here is essentially that it's The Boys, but in college. And there's a superhero university called Godalkin University. That's where they go, and they call it God U for short. I mean, well done, writers. Every time I see the name, it makes me think of the boxer Triple G, because one of the G's in Triple G is something similar to Godalkin. I really struggle remembering that name. But the school sets you up for all various aspects of a Vought-influenced life, just like majors do in college. Like, you can go to the crime-fighting school and work to becoming a hero, or you can go to the performing arts school and work towards starring in some Vought-produced TV show or movie, something like that. And it can also be a feeder into being in the Seven. And as the series opens, we see exactly that. This guy, Luke Reardon, he's the golden boy of the school, quite literally. That's his superhero name, Golden Boy. He's actually played by Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Patrick. And immediately I kind of like rolled my eyes because I'm like, okay, so here's this show's Homelander. You know, whatever. And it fed into a larger concern I had that this would just be The Boys exactly, with different characters and a different setting. But like something that wouldn't justify its existence. Do something a little different, make me feel like I watched this show for this and I watched The Boys for this. Like maybe both shows can scratch the same itch, but The Boys scratches a different itch and Gen V scratches another one. You know, something like that. I didn't want them to be the same show, just with different characters. But to some degree, that's the case. Like, there are obvious similarities, things you'd expect from a spinoff of The Boys. Overly stylized and awesomely grotesque violence. Wildly creative and graphic sex-related stuff. Heroes with unique and in the case of the lead protagonist, actually, kind of lame superpowers. Even the story structure is similar in that there's some shady goings on involved that these kids need to get to the bottom of. Like I said, it's not spoilery. I want you guys to experience the unraveling of this story over those 3 episodes. But what I think sets this show apart and makes it different enough from The Boys to, like I said, justify its existence is that it does an interesting thing with some of the characters' powers. Since these characters are teenagers, young adults, 18, 19 kind of range, it ties some of their powers to real life issues for today's generations, things like self-harm. Now, I fully understand that some people, they may not like that choice. Some may be turned off or disgusted by that. And I fully reserve the right to be one of those people at a later date who's turned off or disgusted by it. But right now, I'm interested in what the show may have to say about this kind of like straddling of the fence it's doing between this is self-harm and no, this is just how I activate my powers. It's not that big of a deal. Like I'm really curious to see if they're gonna move in a direction that feels like it's something that people need to see, or is it just kind of gonna feel like a feature? Like, we're just gonna make this is just gonna be a thing that we're doing. So, they have an opportunity to do something interesting with that in the same way that the Changeling right now is doing something interesting with postpartum depression. And the potential there is something that's pulling me in a way that The Boys, I don't want to say that The Boys doesn't, it's a different way than the way The Boys pulls me in, pause. Also, this somebody's gonna watch this and they're gonna laugh at that. Anyway, this show subverted my expectation with the Luke character too. He's very much not this show's Homelander, at least not as of right now after 3 episodes. But back to talking about the school real quick though. I said it serves as a feeder into the 7, and it does that by having this top 10 ranking system. And of course, sitting atop that list puts you in a prime position to step into the 7. It also, of course, creates quite the competitive nature at the school. And I thought that was like a cool little a little thing to have in the show, to have them like kind of like competing with one another, because that's gonna make you question their motives, and I don't know, I feel like that's gonna be fun. I also find almost all of the lead characters to be really fun, interesting, and or likable. The protagonist appears to be Marie. I'm pretty sure she's the protagonist. She's kind of like the Huey of this show, except she has powers, which Huey does now, kind of, sort of. Anyway, she's played by Jazz Sinclair. She's been in a decent amount of stuff, but nothing I've seen. Marie's power has to do with blood, and we see it manifest at the beginning of the first episode in spectacular fashion. She's super relatable, sympathetic, likable, because she has a tough life, had a tough life, but pulled herself up by her bootstraps. She's pretty. She's got that kind of like underdog kind of thing. You want to root for her, that kind of character. So her roommate at God U is Emma, who so far, I think after the first 3 episodes, I think is probably the best character on the show. And when I say best, I don't mean like I like her the most. I mean, in a objective way, I think that she is also the best character on the show. She's played by Lizzie Broadway, who, like Jazz Sinclair, has been in a bunch of stuff, but just stuff that I haven't seen. She has a very recognizable face. Like, she looks exactly like another older actress who I just can't put my finger on. Lizzie Kaplan? I don't know. But Emma, she's your typical teenager, concerned with going viral for her YouTube channel, just like me. And I'm not your typical teenager, but typical teenager. That's hard to say. I keep wanting to say typical teenager. Her power is that she can change her size, but at something of a cost. And I like how that cost affects her character and seeing the decisions her character has to make because of that cost. Like, she has to factor that shit in, whether or not she's going to change her size or not. It's a big fucking decision. And I feel like they're going to use that probably pretty smart and cleverly as the season progresses as well. And she's also really likable. Like that one person who, may be annoying at times, but you can depend on them for anything, and they'll always be there for you, so you never want to see them get hurt. Like that's Emma. One of those people that you just always just genuinely like them. And then you have the established kind of like stars of the school, because Marie is a freshman. I don't think Emma's a freshman, but she's not popular. And then the established stars of the school are the ones that essentially fill out that top 10 ranking. So you have Andre, that's Luke's best friend. He's played by Chance Perdomo, who, like Lizzie Broadway, looks so much like someone that I thought I've seen before, but then I looked him up on IMDb. I'm like, I ain't seen none of his shit. You got Kate, who comes off like she's going to be the Regina George of the school. But again, subverting my expectations. She's very much not that. And is a lot more complex than you think. She's also Luke's girlfriend, and she has the ability to manipulate you if she touches you. She's played by Maddie Phillips, who has actually been in a couple of things I've seen, but it was so long ago that she was probably too young to be recognizable or played too minor of a role. Lastly, you have Jordan, whose power seems to be solely that he can switch from being a boy to a girl. I don't know. I guess that's useful. If you could change your appearance in general, okay, that's a useful power. But if you can only change between the one boy and the one girl, it's like as long as if any motherfucker know what you look like in either one, now your power is useless. You can't be like, oh shit, let me turn to the other person and be like, no, I know who that is too. kind of a lame power. That's why I said I like almost all the characters. Jordan has yet to hook me, but again, sticking with themes that I think are gonna resonate with this show's desired demo. Jordan's dad is like toxic as fuck. Like he doesn't even acknowledge Jordan's female persona and instead operates as if Jordan is solely a boy. Shit, I probably said him or he at some point when I was talking about Jordan a minute ago. Even though in my notes I have they, I probably said he and don't even realize it. And but that's because I don't know this character. I'm new to the show, and I don't know. I've never seen a character that switches back and forth between a boy and a girl. The father has no excuse for consistently referring to Jordan as he. But I really like the idea of using superpowers in a cool way with sex and violence and all that extra stuff to address teen issues, and I think that's where this show can find some value. And another note on the character front, we do still get treated to a few appearances from Kobe Menefee's Ashley character from The Boys. She's a treat every time she's on screen. So, yeah, I want to say it goes without saying that if you like The Boys, you'll like this, obviously. But that's certainly, that wasn't a foregone conclusion. Like, you could like The Boys, but then not like this. But you like The Boys, you're going to like this. This could have been a shitty and half-assed version of The Boys, but it's not, at least not so far. It's got all the stuff you like from The Boys, but it's doing some interesting stuff with teen and young adult issues and not sticking with kind of like this one-to-one copying of The Boys. And that makes it a super fun and watchable show just in a different way that, like I said, I'm going to say it for the third time, it justifies its existence. So starting this week, I'll cover the show week to week, just like I do with The Boys. Full coverage. Friday, we'll get into it. We'll talk details. We'll talk spoilers. We'll talk theories, whatever's going on after episode 4. And I will see you guys on Friday. And until then, peace.